I'm Shaken Gaming. In this video I'll give a quick update on what you can expect in the tier 8 raid of Erochar. Also a couple of mentions of other changes and how they may affect you. The two biggest changes, or three, are blind immunity on all bosses in T7, and that's also in T8, and then the tenacity increase in both T7 and a big jump in T8, and then speed. Those three things. Blind immunity makes characters such as Yogi and Major Shot obsolete, useless. Just take your runes off them, you're not going to use them ever again. Sadly, maybe they'll find a use in the next raid when that comes out. But to the tenacity changes, the old value for T7 was down here at 78.2. It's now 90, which means you need more potency on your runes. It's much worse though that T8 is 120 tenacity, which is massive. And that renders the bosses very hard to affect with turn meter reduction and with any debuff you can imagine. This is a big change. And turn meter reduction teams, they have a very hard time and require a special strategy. I'll return to that later. Next part, speed. Before, all bosses had 150 speed on P phase 1 to 3 in the raid, and Erochar had 120. In T8, that goes up to 210 for the first 3 phases and 150 for the dragon. This, combined with the tenacity increase, makes it very hard to effectively keep the bosses in just the same turn. They will move. You cannot avoid that. It's just a matter of how much they move. Erochar, well, his shields will go up more with 150 speed instead of 120, which makes it harder. At the same time, he spawns 7 shields instead of just 5, which increases the difficulty quite a lot. Damage, of course, goes up in T8, but it's not by a lot. It's not that significant, really. The health, same, it goes up by 1 million or so. But again, that's not the game changer. That's the speed, the tenacity, and the blind immunity. The bosses also become a bit more dangerous because before they had 0 potency, all of them, in every phase. Now it scales up, starting from 10% tenacity in T1 and goes up to 80 on T8, which means they will infect you a lot more with debuffs. For example, Solius, avoiding his blind, boom, that's hard. It's possible, but it's hard. That was the general stats changes for the raid. Now, let's see some characters. This is not the truth, but it's a pretty good guideline for what you can expect here in the beginning. After our testing, there's A characters, which are nearly unavoidable to use. You definitely need to use these. Then you have B characters that are very strong for various phases. Then you have C characters. They have limited use or only usage due to helping synergies or make a full team. And then you have D characters, which you can just forget about. Don't even try to use them really in the raid. It's not worth it. Then there's some green here because currently you have 3 characters. 3 only. that can reliably give tenacity down, and no one, not a single one, can give potency up, which means it's difficult to land those debuffs and turn meter reduction on the bosses. The 3 characters are Mordoom. He's already ranked here at 8A because of it, and his minions, which can help a bit as well, and high damage. But Selena and Lake, they can apply tenacity down on basic, and this is very, very strong, because you need one of these 3 characters to enable turn meter reduction to work at all, or to inflict debuff just remotely reliable. You need one of these 3. So on their own, with just a random team, Selena and Lake are definitely C characters in this tier list. But if you buff them up completely with potency runes, these characters will become B or A on your team if you really, really focus hard on making turn meter reduction work. But I warn you, it's difficult to make it work. Duo got the same green color because, well, if you don't have tenacity down on the boss you hit, you can forget about using Duo. He won't help you whatsoever. That's that. A lot of characters are not very usable anymore, and that's due to either using too much time buffing up, throwing buffs, or having a hard time using debuffs while hitting hard, because Revol and Bori are good characters, but they spent just sticking the bleeds with Revol is very hard, and Bori uses too much time buffing himself to not hit a lot. You need hard hitting characters up front now. And that's what qualifies for being the B category. Either very hard tanks, because you need tanks now, or characters that straight up do a lot of damage. There's also Renara and Nigel, who does other stuff for your team to buff them up and make them stronger. As you can see, Eric is up here now in a B category, and that's mainly due to Garrett being up here as well, because those 2 together will dish out quite a lot of damage in the raid. I guarantee you that. What else is a surprise? I guess most of this down here isn't a big surprise. Shaolin is really there to take down shields on phase 4, not much else. That's what he can do. The elf characters are mainly thought of for phase 2. Dr. Frank is a surprise, I guess, but the goblins can do quite a lot in P1 and P4. Just so you know it, it's not perfected, and I'm not going into deeper strategy now. That will have to wait. This is just some initial thoughts for you to tinker with while going into your first tier 8 raid. Have fun with that. I'm out. Servers are up again. They should be, at least. So, see you around.